For the outtakes, we just recorded about 15 minutes worth of stuff that actually didn't get recorded.
It was brilliant.
Yes. Groundbreaking material.
I'm so glad you said it because I was totally going to bust this out if you did it.
What wasn't meant to be. Welcome, everybody, to Lionz Den. This is episode number 3. So happy to be here. We thank everybody so much for all the support that we had. We had a great amount of views, some really positive feedback from people. Again, my name's Eddy.
And this is Daryl.
I'm Brad.
And Alex.
We were so proud to put out what we got. I know we all got some positive feedback. What were you kind of getting, Daryl?
Like you said, everything was positive. A lot of direct messages to me via social media and text messages and even phone calls and in person. But we would like to see some interaction across our multiple platforms, specifically with the YouTube, because a lot of things that were said to me, hey, it's great. We love what you were talking about. I didn't know you felt this way about this. That stuff could be very useful in the comments because we can expound upon it and open some, or just have some open dialogue. So, thank you to everybody that listened thus far and watched YouTube. And, we're going to keep putting some stuff out, but let's get interactive with it.
Yeah, same great feedback from a lot of people. If you're listening to us on podcast format, you can, if you want to interact, by all means, you can email, Lionz Den, LIONZDEN 146@gmail.com. We want this to be interactive. We want you guys to reach out to us. We want to hear your take on stuff. We want to hear your experiences. If they're similar, if they're different. Like it's all about building a community and all of us chatting together. So
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the feedback's been great. Thank you to everybody who reached out to me via text message, some form of social media. That's the type of stuff that really makes this worth it for us, on top of the subscriptions, the comments, obviously, so we can keep it, relevant. The more of that we get, the more people that get to see it. And the hope is to help quite a bit of people with this. So, appreciate you reaching out, taking the time to listen to it. We're enjoying doing this, so it's nice to see some people enjoying listening to it.
Yeah, it was wonderful to get the feedback that we got.
Yeah.
In fact, my mother called this morning and said that she's very proud of all of us.
It's good.
Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mom.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we were talking last episode a little bit about the difference between faith, religion, spirituality. Some of the comments that I personally got back was a lot of people were surprised that faith was such a large component of my life. I don't know if you guys kind of got the same thing. Yeah. It was a little surprising to me because I have quite a few tattoos and they're all religious. So I was like, I don't really think I hit it. But that being said, I think in the basis of religion, faith, and spirituality, why is it even important? So why even have this format?
Right.
Why Lionz Den even needs to exist? Why are we talking about that? And to be clear to everybody, it's not all we're talking about. We're talking about a lot of different things, but it's definitely the foundation of who we are. So just to bore everybody with statistics a little bit, just to kind of give a good background from Pew Reports, 63% of people are absolutely certain there is a God. 20% of people are fairly certain, 5% are not certain. So kind of going through that, 83% of people out there believe in some form of God. That's a big percentage.
Yeah.
As far as practicing, meaning going to temple, going to church, going to synagogue, whatever your spiritual practice may be, 56% of people seldom or never attend mass or church or synagogue. 31% are weekly or almost weekly. So when you kind of look at the percentage of how many people out there believe and yet aren't actively participating in one of those avenues, organized religion, let's say, there's obviously a big drop off. So we were kind of looking to do is have those conversations that maybe people aren't having out there.
Yeah.
That was a big motivator for why we're doing this. I don't know where you guys kind of stood with all that.
I mean, that's dead on. Like, to kind of be a motivator to help people find their faiths, their spirituality or religion. And just to do that by being vulnerable and talk about things that people typically don't talk about, especially in group format, and especially that they don't publish for anybody to watch or listen. So hopefully it's helpful.
Yeah, I get similar comments, especially, people are surprised at my faith, and especially with the music I listen to, and things I'm involved in. It's very
angry.
Yeah.
It's calming though. I find calm in the
Completely
anger.
contradictory.
But faith is a big part of my life. Has gotten me through a lot of dark times, and that's what I'm looking to share here. Is the things that I've been through. We've all been through something, but
Sure.
Definitely have.
But to really kind of, if again, it's building that community, getting people talking. If you're not going to church, who are you talking to about it? And there's fewer and fewer people to talk to, so we want to be those people.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head with feeling like you can talk about it. I think it's just, especially looking at that, 63% of people that believe, right? 88 if you combine the two. I just think you look at us, you said it, and I think you can agree. I got the feedback, I didn't know that really was how you were. I didn't know you had faith like that. I didn't know you had such a strong connection with religion. I just think people assume, what goes on, and, a lot of people don't really ask. So, and it's just a testament that for people like us that are so vulnerable, willing to communicate, that people don't know that about us. I think it's because it shows what the subject brings.
Definitely.
It shows what it brings to the table, what people get afraid to talk about with it, and why it's talked about so little.
Yeah. To that feedback that we all received, I think a lot of people that interacted with us prior to listening or watching our previous videos and listening to the previous podcasts pretty much had a one-dimensional look at who we were.
Sure.
So doing this gives that full 3D, 4D, dimensional perspective of us. We're trying to project, at least I can say that, trying to project a whole view of who I am.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, with your presence, your appearance, it can be perceived one way, and often it's completely wrong.
Definitely. One thing I did want to say, unfortunately, unless you're watching the YouTube, we wanted to thank Alex's wife, Katie, for these awesome mugs.
Killed it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
They look incredible.
Yeah.
They said they'd get some pictures up on Instagram so you could see them. They look incredible. Just want to say thank you. It was extremely thoughtful, and they came out incredible. But kind of to all that, I think most people looking at those statistics, so 83% of people believe in some semblance of God. So I think when you kind of start there, either family, religion kind of takes you right there. So you're kind of right in organized religion, which is either going to be a good experience or bad or indifferent. I think a lot of people start with some form of spirituality. So that thing that they do, be it walk in the woods, go surfing, some people go skydiving, any of those type of things that kind of give you the semblance of there's something bigger out there than us. I mean, I know for you, Alex, hunting is always a big component of that for you.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, spirituality, a really good way to look at it, kind of a way I break it down, is it's a reset button. It's a place to kind of reconnect, recognize where you're at, understand the things that are going around you, and actually taking the time to look at it. So for deer hunting, for me, it's just that. A lot of people think it's that pursuit of the animal. I can tell you countless times that regardless of what my brother will tell you, it's not from lacking of being able to make the shot that I just haven't pulled the trigger. It's something I go out and do because it's a reset button for me. Obviously, as a young man growing up, look up to all your uncles, your older brother, my grandfather, your father, my uncle, my grandfathers, they all hunted. So it's something I kind of took on and just allowed me to have that reset button. I think you can't be who you are on a daily basis without having those moments. So in order to be the Alex that everybody knows me to be, I can't be that without those situations, those instances, those releases for me.
Yeah, I don't know. For you, Brad, on like that spiritual level, what kind of things do you think you do?
Yeah, I mean, for me, water is extremely calming. It's my work is involved in it. I love boating. I love being on the water. At this point in the year, it's been the longest time since I've been on the water because of the weather. So you get that itch to go out, and there's just something, like you said, it's that reset button. You just kind of calm and can relax, and it is definitely spiritual, and it grounds you. And it's just for me, it's very calming. It's, my work is stressful, life can get stressful, and you can take those moments, and it's almost like somebody just shuts off the outside noise. And for me, that's definitely, there's, spirituality behind all of that.
Sure.
Yeah. As you guys were talking, as I am very spiritual, but I was thinking, like, what is like an activity that's spiritual to me? And the closest thing I can come up with is camping. And I think that's pretty accurate because I camp a lot, and I camp on my off days in the spring, summer, and fall. So Monday and Tuesdays, I'm usually camping, and I go to work Wednesday from somewhere local, and whether I'm with my kids or I'm by myself, it's just that place where I can go and collect myself and separate from society a little bit. And it's often a little better when my kids are there because they're picking that up and they have the enjoyment of doing it with me.
Sure.
But that wasn't always the case because I had some time where I wouldn't even call it camping. I slept outside a lot as a grunt. And so it was not like my preferred area to be. But on the recreational side, I definitely say it's a level of spirituality that's attached to it. Yeah.
No, and I would definitely, we kind of seen with the COVID stuff that we just kind of coming through how many people were doing outdoor stuff. And I thought it was really interesting how grounding it was for a lot of people, and as stressful it was for everybody. And, as hectic and insane it all was, I think it brought a lot of people to that. And for me, same as Daryl, camping, fly fishing, for all of us, I think we're in the same boat when we're on our bikes. That's probably
riding
my most zen moment when I'm on the motorcycle. Just seems that everything kind of slows down for me, calms down. I could be pretty negative and get on my bike, and it just seems to chill me out. And I think it does for a lot of reasons. It's motorcycling hits all your senses. Mm-hmm. So you're out there, you can smell everything, see everything, feel everything, taste everything sometimes, unfortunately. But you can't. And I think because of the safety, you're hyper aware of what's going on with you. And I think that kind of slows things down for you.
For sure.
Yeah, that's very accurate.
And I think when we're talking about, faith, religion, spirituality, I think a lot of people start with that, and then it kind of expands from there. So, okay. And why it's so important is understanding that, and probably why it was so important to do the Lionz Den, especially in this time and era, is that the world seems to be getting smaller. So we're making this YouTube, we're making this podcast. There could be somebody in Shanghai, Denmark, Italy watching us. So you can reach the whole world, yet the world seems to be shrinking. Things are getting very small. Our viewpoints are getting smaller and smaller. Our people's individual prides are getting smaller and smaller, as far as the conversations. And that's really what we wanted to open up, especially when it came to any of these three things. As far as like faith goes, religion, spirituality, because as the world gets smaller, we get smaller. And I think the second you understand that, okay, there's something bigger out there. I was created for a reason. I think as soon as you have an acknowledgement of that, those questions start. Well, why was I created? What can I do? What was my purpose? And I think as you start to explore that, be it through spiritual things you do, meditation, camping, riding bike, or even going into organized religion, or just having that faith, I think that expands those questions. And the more people you interact, you kind of start developing what your faith is, which we've all done on, different levels.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think with that, Alex.
I mean, I think it's faith, spirituality, religion, in no set order of a rung is kind of a ladder that you kind of climb as you go through life. And without sounding too metaphorical, what I mean is for me, so using deer hunting as an example, it was a spiritual way for me to kind of connect, right? And previous video, I talked about kind of coming to this earth, finding your own pure happiness. So I think it's really important that people get the takeaway from this, that when we're talking about your spirituality, faith, religion, it's not because I'm telling you need to go find it. We're trying to explain it because as we go through this, our trials, our tribulations, I want to be able to use that and explain to you how we use those things to help us navigate, right? We're here to tell you through our past experiences, how we overcame, how we struggled. And I think it's getting a good understanding of what we had as our basis to help us navigate, like anything in life. For me, using hunting as that example, the spirituality side of that was a way to find me to get grounded. And as I become more grounded, I can then move through my daily things that I have to take care of, work, being a father, being a husband, things that you can enjoy, but also take work, right? Then allow me to kind of transition into having a little bit more of that faith and then climbing into a religion. It makes it easier because I'm taking it into a stepping stone, a little bit of it at a time.
Sure. Brad?
We kind of talked about being grounded and finding that peace in things we do. And I'm sure with your statistics of, avid churchgoers, they find that peace when they're at church.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't happen for everybody.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I didn't have
Statistics kind of proven that.
Yeah. Like I didn't really have that. I kind of found my own path through religion, through faith. And I think what we're trying to do here is, there's different steps, like you said, through life. You kind of, as you go through, you kind of figure this stuff out on your own. And I'm assuming there's other people out there like me that we can reach that went through, or going through things, and I can kind of point them in the direction that I went through. And it doesn't have to be very cut and dry or what, is acceptable. Like, this is what worked for me. It could work for a lot of other people, but the faith is there. Spirituality is still there. Religion is still there. I just went about it a little different way.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's it exactly. People go different routes. And just because, say you went a certain route or I did, or any one of us, people that we're talking to or people that we encounter, they don't have to take that same route that either one of us took. But I think the big thing is that there is other routes out there, and to acknowledge that. And so travel it. And it may be uphill, and then it may flatten out, and it may be some more uphill, but you're heading to the same place. So just keep pushing and going through. But I know that it's something that's very important. And with the experience that I had along the way, I'm very appreciative for it because it made me who I am today. So.
No, and I definitely think that's what's so important about having these conversations is, again, how is it being discussed? Where is that information coming from? For me, my journey's been unique where it started from organized religion, then, Roman Catholic background. I checked out tons of Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucianism, been in sweat lodges with medicine men. I've kind of gone through the expanse of what spirituality can be, meditation, you name it. And for me personally, that kind of brought me back around to, my Catholic faith, but with a much different perspective than had it been straightforward. And I never had any of those experiences. And I think for me, probably what's most painful as a Christian is, and that's really what, we're talking a lot about today, is how is that being represented right now? So anyone who's claiming to be a Christian or saying they believe in God, especially if you're believing in Jesus. So Christianity is that. So by definition, Christian is you have faith in Christ.
Cat's out of the bag.
Right. So, it always kind of intrigues me. You will definitely get a lot of Christians that go the Old Testament on you and, oh, this isn't okay. That's okay. Going to hell for this, going to hell for that. And I'm like, So we got this New Testament thing that, this guy Jesus came up with, hence Christians, quote unquote, that we're following. Are we really abiding by that?
Yep.
And what I've noticed even in my lifetime as religion has become more politicized, which not to say that it hasn't been in the past, but I've seen in the last probably 20. Daryl and I actually watched a movie pretty recently. I think it was The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yeah,
And
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it kind of it actually showed the moment where, Jerry Falwell, and I can't remember the other person that was in it, kind of figured out that, hey, the more we get involved in politics, the more pull we have with people, the more we get this out and kind of get the stuff that we don't want involved out.
Yeah.
Which I remember that happening. I was around at that time. I forgot how thought out that was. And it was very
yeah, it was a very good depiction of stuff that happened that we saw the surface level of. And it was broadening because it's things that but you don't really think about it, because watching it and listening to it, I was like, I forgot about that. But then as I'm watching it, I'm like, that makes sense. I see them doing that. I see why they did that. I see why they wanted to have a heavier presence in politics and tied politics into religion, which is absolutely something that we say that we don't do in our doctrine as a country, but we do. But I also see the detriment to it, because then the message gets lost. So.
No, absolutely. And I think that did a good job of showing that. And it's something we'll talk about later on, something I wrote about in my book, self-righteous. I've been guilty of it. You guys are all parents. You know what that's like. You know in your heart what the right thing is to do, and you so desperately want that person you care, love. You don't want to see them kind of go through that pain that you went through. Mm-hmm. So you kind of steer them off that direction. Sometimes it might be through a conversation. Sometimes it might be more stern. And I think that at that time, that's where that movement was coming from. I don't think it was malicious. I think in their heart of hearts, they really believed that that was the best thing to do, that people were going down the bad path. The country was going down a bad path. Our morality, our ethics was getting completely out of control. And they saw that as a way of, the more control we have over politics, the more we can control the laws, control those type of things. The problem with that is politics with faith it's a deal with the devil, mm-hmm. because sooner or later, you're going to have to make that call. You're going to have to make that decision of, well, I don't agree with this, and this of that person, but that I do like. Me as a Roman Catholic, the pro-choice or pro-life thing is prolific. People really go after it with that. And I know people that can't stand particular politicians, but because they're pro-life, that's the way they're going to swing. And I think especially as a Christian, you don't really have that option. So you can't make that deal with that devil. It's either all in or all out. You can't say, well, I'm going to turn a blind eye to this, this, and this, because I do like that you're doing this. Mm-hmm. And that's got to be a none of the above call. And when we kind of look at these statistics, as religion has become more and more involved in politics, people have been getting further and further away from organized religion. And I think that a very big reason for that is because of that. People see that. And that's the question that we pose today is, are we representing ourselves the best? So somebody in this 83% and only 31%'s going, is it because they see it from the outside and saying, man, I want to be a part of that? And are we elevating it enough where people look at that and want to be a part of that? And the obvious answer is we're not. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I think it definitely muddies up the water a little bit when you start getting into the I'm okay with this as long as you can help with that. Only for the reason of, what are you sacrificing? What are you having to give up in order to achieve this? And then who determines that the thing you achieved outweighs the things that you were willing to sacrifice?
That's politics in a nutshell. I'm okay with this so long as it benefits this.
It's a super sticky one, right? But I think, especially with Christianity, you kind of have to go with with what's the right thing to do all of the time. So when you start mixing things for benefit and sacrificing things that you shouldn't be sacrificing, we all have those little super cliche angels and devils on our shoulders. And in a perfect world, you always listen to the angel, which we have a hard enough time doing. And I think in this analogy, going down a road like that, you're adding 6 devils and 1 angel, and it kind of drowns it out. So it makes it kind of hard to see the right path to kind of go with.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, politics, it's not a two-way street. When you start mixing the two, one side's going to win out, and, you kind of know what side that's going to be. So, but these are the things we're open to talking about and we want to hear about and hear your take on. So throw something down in the comments, send us an email.
Yeah.
Like this is stuff that it's real life stuff. We're here to open up that communication. So I think this is a good one.
Yeah. Please drop something in there. I don't think, that I'm a self-proclaimed historian, meaning I like to read a lot of real stuff. That's about it. And to my knowledge, historically has not been successful anytime that you start muddying the waters of religion and faith and spirituality with politics. Even if you do have like a good period, it goes away. And when it goes away, it's usually something pretty vicious or dramatic or just huge. So if you look at any historical events, you can probably tie them to the inclusion of religion into whatever political situation it is, be it a king, a monarch, a ruler, anything, countries, even countries that had dictators and countries that had a democracy, you see that. So
Definitely.
I think it's something historically that didn't work, and I would like to hear some people's feedback.
And something we definitely want to emphasize is we certainly understand where that happened. It's a lot of times, again, it's with very good intent. It's wanting to help people, try to have an impact on people, trying to get through to people, trying to protect people, trying to be that good shepherd. I think you have to be really careful of, again, something as far as, and it's not just Christianity, we keep talking about it because that's what our background is, but Buddhism, Muslims, Judaism, everybody's wants to be open to other people. I mean, they're all essentially about love. They're all have that golden rule, treat people as you want to be treated. So it's certainly not just Christianity. For me, I could speak about it because that's right in my wheelhouse. I mean, the healthy don't need a doctor, the sick do. So I didn't make that up. That's Jesus. So when we're starting to ostracize, push people away, you're not welcome here, your viewpoint's not welcome here, you're this, you're that, don't need you in the church, or whatever have you. So again, our leader, who is Jesus, this is his words, not mine. So are we practicing that? Is that the vibe that people are getting? So if one of these people in that 56% or, hey, I really want to get a better understanding of my faith, I really like to check out organized religion, or is that what they're getting when they go there? Whatever that may be. Brad kind of answered to that earlier. I know we've had similar experiences. The main thing we're really trying to drive with that is there are other options. So, I can't tell you how many churches I've been into. There's some that were absolutely incredible. I connected with the priest, had wonderful conversations. There's some where I didn't. It's not good, bad, indifferent. You got to find what the right fit is for you. What we're really talking about this, though, is that there are some rules to the game. So if you're going anywhere and they're excluding or they're ostracizing anybody, or you're hearing more about hate than love, or more about rejecting than accepting, or any of those type of things, you're not going to find anything about God in that place. I can guarantee it. I promise you it. I've never seen it in my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are getting a lot. And that's really what we're talking about. That's really what the Lionz Den is about, is that's not what none of this is.
Right.
Well, I think those people that tend to spread hate and use religion as that facade to do it get a lot of publicity. So if you're trying to figure out some of this stuff and you have those questions and that's what you're seeing, of course it's going to turn you away.
Yeah.
So again, that's what some of this is about, is trying to be there to answer questions and let you know those people are nuts, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's a good scale to to grade like a religious experience group, even a person that you're talking to, an individual. If you're talking to somebody and their outlook starts or is heavily negative, and then and it's not, it wouldn't be considered inclusive. That's a good sign to say this person really doesn't get it. And at that point you can determine whether you want to continue to engage and maybe see about pushing them to something more inclusive, open, or disengage and spare yourself the time and let somebody else do it, or let something else happen. Let something else cause that change. Because I believe in life, something will cause you to see it the other way around.
Unquestionably.
So let life take its course, and then things will happen that'll put you on the path that you need to be on. But I like that as a guide to whether they're following that path, listening to the steps and the words and understanding them the right way. Because that separation, segregation, and exclusion is not anything that goes with faith, religion, or spirituality.
Absolutely.
Or just being a normal human being.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're walking through life with any type of segregation, any type of separation, however you want to define it, you're missing the message. If you're so gung-ho and strong that you're changing the world, making it a better place because this individual people, based on what they believe in, what they look like, the color of their skin, whatever the case may be, you miss the message. The point is if I'm reading you something and it's not hitting home, and Brad, I'm reading something to you and maybe it does, doesn't mean you suck, man. It doesn't mean you don't belong here. It means I need to figure out a way to deliver this message so it hits home with you. I mean, I think that's the big picture we all miss, is if you're really trying to make an impact and you're in a position to do so, if you're excluding because people don't understand, you're missing the whole point. Change the way you're showing it, even if it's for the one. You always see, whether it be in a movie or stories told, that sometimes the people in the back of the pack not literally have to be sacrificed, but whatever the situation is, that the few can be sacrificed to save the many. I missed that, all the teachings I read, I missed the part where they said that was ever a case. My understanding of it is figure out a way to make it work for everybody. That's doing everything you can.
No, absolutely. And I even to what Brad said it, which is so poignant, especially now. The people with the big mouths are getting listened to. I mean, those are the ones representing us. And when we kind of talked about this, that was really what got under my skin the most. Because like I said, who is representing us to these people? These people that are trying to find those answers, trying to find that path, trying to find their way towards life, trying to evolve, level up. Where's the information coming from? And I just see a lot of big mouths talking about a lot of nonsense that has certainly nothing to do with God. We know has nothing to do with Jesus. Again, there's a book out there. It's a New Testament. His words are in that. I know we talked last week a little bit about interpretation and stuff getting lost in translation. This stuff's pretty clear. So, Jesus had a real clear message throughout. Another one, didn't come to call the righteous, but the sinners. So, sounds very similar like the previous one. I'm here for the sick. So throughout his time and throughout what the early Christians were talking about was always about how open Jesus was, how, in fact, the thing that really got him killed at the end of the day was that him letting in everybody, was him speaking to everybody. It wasn't just the chosen. It was, hey, now the chosen is all of this, not just this. So for anybody to deviate away from that and make it about this or that, or hey, we don't accept this, or that's not okay, or whatever. And an ironic thing about it is I personally attend Latin Mass. So I go to probably the most traditional Mass you can in Roman Catholic. I do it for a lot of reasons. It touches me. I've been to a lot of different Masses for whatever reason. It speaks to me. I love it. It's beautiful. It's incredible. If you ever get a chance, check one out. And I love the history about it. I love knowing that I'm going to something that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. But, even without even that being said, a lot of times that's the first kind of group that is out there bashing stuff. I mean, I've been to several meetings talking about, in my lifetime, Pope Francis is probably the best representation I can say for Christianity. And the guy's a rock star. I mean, every time I hear him talk, I'm like, this guy gets it. Mm-hmm. Please say as much as you can. Yeah. Bill Maher, I kind of get a kick out of. Obviously, I have nothing in common with him as far as religious goes, but he speaks well about him, and that's Mr. God doesn't exist guy. But that sect always has a problem with him, that he's too open, he's talking too much about this, he's going against tradition, and I'm like, seems like he gets it to me.
Yeah. Sounds like somebody else from the histories, kind of goes too open, goes against what everybody tells him to do. I mean, yeah. Can't be afraid. I mean, we tag it and everything. Be a lion among sheep.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know what too open is. I don't understand it. I'm thinking about it right now.
You're letting people in that we don't want in. Yeah. You're letting the sick into the church. This is supposed to be for the healthy.
Yeah, like to me, open is open and closed is closed. There's not like there's no such thing as like super open. It's just it's open and then there's closed. Even if it's cracked, it's open.
No, definitely.
So it's either access or no access, and we're leading towards access, and I think that he does that. So,
no, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Jesus hung out with people that I would hang out with. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like, you've been to a Chopper show, I mean, those are the,
right.
It's
so true. I mean, it's so true.
I can't really phrase it any other way. And these are my friends. He would hang out with us, and he is there to help and shed light and love and ostracize for it. Which is bananas when you think about it. But to your point, it's not comical, but you have this ingrained years of beliefs that's gotten so diluted to where now it's like we can't even let in somebody that looks like me,
right?
Looks like us,
right?
That's so it's funny.
I'm sure most of you guys remember the "What Would Jesus Do?" little.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. Like when I read some of this stuff or I see some of this stuff, even like I said, some of the conversations I have with people, and they're like, we don't want this person or we don't want to allow that. And I'm like, whoa, yeah. Is that what would Jesus do? Hey, you got tattoos, get out of here. We don't want your kind, or you're homosexual, or you're this, or you're an atheist. So, I mean, funniest thing is you don't believe in God. We don't want you here. Like, whoa, that's the exact person you want here. That's the exact person you want to be having those conversations with. I mean, that's the sick that Jesus is talking about. And I don't mean that there's anything wrong if that's what you believe, but if that person is in that state of mind and they're looking to get more information, you should be the first person in line welcoming them in. What I highly question is that the experience that people are getting out there, especially when it comes to organized religion. Like I said, for us, we were talking about in the last episode, for Roman Catholic, we've had a really bad run. The child abuse, the molestations, all of that stuff has just been horrible and is a reality. It happened. There's no denying it. That left a horrible stain on us. And even that, I think, kind of goes back to the politic thing, was the leaders in the church. Well, we can't let people know, because if we do, they'll lose their faith in us. And they lost the number one thing of, hey, this happened. We messed up. We missed this. Want to make people aware. Are your kids okay? Is this okay? Kind of missed that first step of being a Christian, which was, a black eye for us. I have a lot of Muslim friends. I know Daryl had same thing. Within that faith. I mean, tons of Muslim people are wonderful people.
Lebanese. So, yeah.
There you go. I mean, somebody the other day, I was saying that, Mary is the only woman, from my understanding, that's mentioned by name in the Quran. So, and Jesus is venerated in the Quran, but you had all the terrorism stuff, all the stuff going on in the Middle East, that's what people want to focus on. That's what people want to put, this is what everybody's like. And again, the biggest mouths are the one that everybody's paying attention to.
Yep. Yeah, and they're spouting negativity.
That are like us. I mean, you were there. Mm-hmm. You know what that's all about.
Yeah.
It's the people that in that middle that aren't being heard. And Lionz Den is about, you're going to hear us. Yeah. You're going to hear our roar. Yeah. We're going to be coming out there. We're out here to raise hell, because we don't believe that. We don't believe that that's how faith, religion should be embodied or spoken about. We want people to understand that there's an avenue there for you. There's tons of avenues. Mm-hmm. This is not even close to the only one. There's tens of thousands, millions out there. But we want people to understand that that's there.
Yeah, I mean, I think with exclusion, there comes a level of an agenda. If there's exclusion happening, that's because there's an agenda trying to be accomplished, and there's a certain perception that you don't want people to look at. And I think that understanding just being yourself, whether it be as an organization, an individual, whatever it is, it really shows people what it's actually about. So what I mean by having an exclusion and having an agenda is, you're talking about it with, Muslim. You hear the guy, especially after the terrible incidents of 9/11, a lot of people, well, hey, somebody with a headdressing is getting on the airplane. I've got some concern. Listen, I got concern getting on an airplane with somebody ignorant like you. I get the fear, but it's a person you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's the same person that was born into a different culture. Shame on you. I mean, like I said, do I understand why people say it? Well, I can understand the concept. I mentally, I don't know if I could wrap my head around getting behind that, obviously. But I think it's remembering when you go into situations like that, challenge yourself to see what is it you're actually saying. What is it you're actually worried about? What is it you're concerned about? Because if you have that much hatred for any individual, any group, to exclude them from whatever it may be, you're afraid of something. You're afraid of your true truth coming out, or whatever the case may be. But there's definitely something that's being hidden, just from my experience.
Yeah, it's a massive sign of ignorance or just unintelligence, the unwilling to understand, at least at that moment. And I think people who did believe that in that time can be converted to have a better understanding of people, and understanding that just because a group of guys did something doesn't mean that is the basis of everybody in that group.
Nope.
And it's something that you can break down, but it has to start with the openness to understand or see a different side. And that's what we're trying to do here, as well as get people on the path to their faith and religion and spirituality. But I mean, you hit it, you nailed it on the head as far as things that people did in certain times, and how they took one incident or a few incidents and then wrapped that into a whole thing.
Use the stereotype. Yeah,
created the stereotype. That's how stereotypes are created. And I was in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I have never had any group hatred for any other people in those countries. And not as an administrator or anything. I was a direct combatant on the field. And for me, I had, I knew locals that I enjoyed their presence and conversations with them when I had it. And then, you would get into a situation with another combatant, and I wouldn't be like, you know what, F everybody here. I don't know. I'm just not built that way. But I do see how that stereotype was created, and I've had conversations with people over there who thought that way, and I just couldn't get with it.
Brett?
Yeah, I think some of it kind of boils down. We talk a lot about communication here. So I think there's a misunderstanding, especially when you bring up like Middle East and their religion. It's different than ours, or it's different than what we believe, and it's really not. But instead of having a conversation with those people and talking about it, and we're like, oh, that's similar. Well, that's similar. Well, that's and find out there are all these similarities. Because I don't understand what they do, so now they just get roped into this. They're different, and I'm not going to talk to them, or they get that stereotype. Like you said, that's how stereotypes are born. They're different. It's really not the case. I have a lot of friends that are Middle Eastern and obviously family and stuff like that. And you learn through communication, like they're just like us, and that's what this is about. There's there's different levels of faith, spirituality, and religion, and each of us has a different one that works for us. It's about sharing these different ones and find something that works for you.
Yeah, we earlier today, when we weren't recording, me and Eddy had a conversation about stereotypes, and it was about a friend that I had that was he's homosexual, and we're still friends now. But when I met him, he thought that I wouldn't be his friend because he's homosexual. His sexual preference was going to determine whether I would, at the time, play a round of cards with him and a group of 3 other dudes. And so I asked him, hey, you want to play spades? I'm not going to put his name out here or anything, but like when I said, hey, you want to play spades? He looked around, looked left and right, and I'm like, no, you, right here, would you like to play spades? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, you know how to play spades? He was like, yeah. All right, then sit down, let's play, And then he sat down and he was like, I was actually shocked that you asked me to play spades. And I was like, why? He was like, well, because I'm like, no, why? I was like, because you're gay? Like, because you like dudes? I don't understand how that relates to playing spades at all. Yeah. Like, I care more on the fact that you don't renege than who you're dreaming about when you go away. Right. Or who you're going to some movies with, or I don't care. We're just going to play spades. And we had a conversation about it. And at the table with the other guys there and stuff, nobody cared. We just, do you know how to play the game? Okay, let's play it. But he would have never sat down and played with us had we, not invited him. And then that was kind of eye-opener that he felt that way. And it's a shame because that's another version of a stereotype. He stereotyped me thinking that off of my appearance that I just wouldn't like him because of, what he likes to do in his personal time or who he likes to spend his time with, which I have no concern about that at all.
And I'm sure that, unfortunately, that was based off of his experience.
It was. Yeah. That's the sad part of it.
Where
no doubt.
He wasn't welcome or he was ostracized, he wasn't feel, and kind of circle back around. Why is this important is exactly that. When we understand there's a higher power, we understand there's a God, we understand that we all have the same Father, we're all created by the same being, we're all connected. We're all brothers. We're all sisters. If you can start to get that foundation, and listen, we're all flawed. We've all made mistakes, made tons of them. Everybody at this table has made tons of them. We're not here to chastise anybody and shame on this person for doing this or that. We might be talking about that individual moment. That's not to say that that doesn't change the next day, 3 hours from now, 10 years from now. Everybody has the ability to change, but for faith, when we understand that the world is bigger than just us and we are all connected, that's kind of where that golden rule comes shining. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Yep. Why is it important to have these conversations is because the more we get a better semblance of that, the more we're able to connect, the more compassionate, empathetic, understanding we are to be able to be towards each other. So just want to again thank everybody for tuning in. It's a great conversation.
Yep.
Again, anybody please comment. Feel free to send us an email. We talked about a lot of heavy topics. If you're not comfortable putting in something in the comments, feel free to put it out there.
Absolutely.
Through email. And again, keep it positive. We're not here to feed any trolls, feed any negativity. You don't agree with us, trust me, there's a lot of wonderful other YouTubes you can go out there and check out on a daily basis. They got your algorithm. They know exactly how to get to you. We're not that. Keep it positive. Keep it upbeat. But thank you again, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very
guys.
much.